Thank you for listening to this Podcast One Sportsnet production, available on Apple Podcasts and Podcast One.
Merry New Year!
Dr. Hockey.
Welcome to the Dr. Hockey Podcast. Dr. Jay Calvert. It is New Year's Day. Happy New Year, Jason. How are you doing?
I'm good. Happy New Year to you, too.
This is, an auspicious 2020, new decade, new year, the whole deal.
Well, it's just another change in the calendar. I mean, I still don't understand the whole allure of celebrating New Year. I mean, every day is the same. I just don't get it, but that's fine.
Neither do I.
It's just funny how there's certain restaurants that you can go to dinner, $50, $60, and then suddenly on that one night, it's now $5,000 for the same exact food that you're going to get tonight or the night before. It's just not worth it.
No, it's not.
So
I hear you, though. But I like the idea of renewal, and I like the idea of recommitment. So if there's got to be a time marker for it, might as well be today.
Yeah, okay, fine.
I find
although this is the time to invest in health clubs, because by March 1st, that's when you want to sell those shares, because everybody's back to the normal self of not going to the gym.
Absolutely. I mean, it is unbelievable how difficult it is for me to get into Orange Theory. It is packed because I went on the app and it's just, they're full because everybody's got this, new, January is obviously everybody's, I'm going to get in shape. I'm going to do this, blah, blah, blah. But they, seldom do. It seldom, turns into a real habit. But it's good for the health clubs, and I agree with you. Buy stock and sell by March.
I got a bone to pick with the NHL about something.
What's that?
I'm going to start off real quick on this. The All-Star game.
Yes.
So, okay. Ovechkin says he's not going to play. Doesn't want to get hurt or whatever the reason is, doesn't want to play. Now, typically players have been fined or whatever else for not going, or if they're injured, obviously they're not expected to play. But I think it should be an optional thing. Personally, I think the All-Star game is a waste of time. I know Dylan Larkin wasn't too thrilled about going, didn't want to go, and I think Tyler Bertuzzi's going, I believe. But, people were chastising Larkin, and I'm sorry, these guys, he even said outright, he was honest, he said, I prefer the couple days off. And yeah. I think that they just, number one, the allure of the game in years past may have been the fact that, okay, it was, you'd see Gretzky and some of these other guys playing on the same line together and everything, and it was fun, whatever. The skills competition's decent to watch to some degree. But for the most part, these guys just want a couple days off, and I think it should be an optional thing if you get voted in. And if you say, I'm going to politely decline, I don't think you should be penalized or it should be a problem.
Well, I hear you, but the NHL is an entertainment sport. So I'm going to play the side of the NHL saying we need to showcase our big players. There's a lot of players that don't get a lot of camera time, and it's an opportunity to pump up the NHL and generate hockey fans by, sort of this showcase of talent. It's not a game,
but I'm going to stop you right there then. Here's my counterpoint to that. Do you honestly think that someone who is out there, they're not sure if they want to watch hockey or not, is suddenly going to be lured in by the All-Star game as opposed to the other hundreds of games that are going on during the regular season? In other words, it's not – if it was an interesting, fun thing to do and they made it really creative, I mean, they tried doing that with different captains and then picking their teams and all that stuff, whatever. But by and large, the same audience is watching the NHL All-Star game that watches the NHL games in the regular season and is watching the Winter Classic. Because frankly, again, I'm going to be Mr. Party pooper here. It was boring as hell this year.
Totally.
I'm sorry. They zoomed out from the Cotton Bowl. It looked drab and brown and just depressing when they pulled back. There was nothing festive or joyous about it in those scenes. It was two teams that, other than living in those cities, the general public, if they want to attract fans, couldn't care less about. You don't have any marquee players from a marquee team or a marquee market that is out there, and it's the same thing with the All-Star game. That's why I preface it with the All-Star game. It's the same thing. They're not marketing they're preaching to the choir, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. This Winter Classic, which we should definitely talk about, was, two teams that I'm sure the people in Nashville and the people in Dallas cared about, and maybe that's enough for the NHL, but nobody in New York was, kind of cranking up the TV to see, I wonder how they're doing.
You think Bruins or Flyers fans are saying, "Hey, I want to see how Jamie Benn's doing out there"? Come on.
No.
It's not the case. You need a player like a McDavid. I know they have the Heritage Classic in Canada, but they need to have marquee players, the Eichels, the McDavids, the Kucherovs. These players from teams, or even have them against the team. Have a Tampa Bay Rangers, so you have Panarin out there. I'm just saying that.
Yeah.
Do something with the marketing and have the Canadians, have Montreal, which is one of the greatest franchises in NHL history. Have Montreal play Boston. Have Boston play Toronto. See if Toronto can actually beat them in a national game. You know what I mean? International game, if you will. I mean, something that gives, even if you want to have Toronto and Dallas, fine. But have a team where the Canadian fans will get excited, because I can almost guarantee you, except for probably a few select fans, the majority of Canada did not watch the Winter Classic between Dallas and Nashville.
Definitely not.
Sorry. That's just my opinion, and then you can say I'm wrong. I mean, Pronger can say I'm wrong later on, whoever else.
And he will.
I'm sure he will. And when I see him at dinner, I'm sure he's going to probably give me a couple nuggies. But my point is that they're marketing this to the choir, and that's not how you do it. And that's it. And and I'm a hockey fan. You're a hockey fan. We know these players. I was bored watching it and watched only part of it. I probably, maybe within 15 minutes of Corey Perry, with the elbow of death in the 3 minutes into the first period, I was like, okay, well, who cares?
Yeah.
So,
no, I get you, man. I mean, it's a. We came up with a bunch of, when we were texting, we came up with a bunch of way better matchups I'd love to see. And Christy Flannery, Skating in Stilettos, for those of you who want to follow her blog, she was like, next year I think it's going to be Minnesota, right? Is that the next?
It's in Minnesota, which, again, Minnesota and Michigan, these are some of Wisconsin, these are some of the, the hockey meccas as far as college and the minor teams as from the United States perspective. Boston's another one of the marquee of those cities like that. But Minnesota is a big market for that type of thing, and I have no problem with that. I mean, again, the Wild aren't the team that you really want to follow. They're kind of like blah. But if you stick in the Leafs, you stick in there the Canadians, you stick in there the Bruins, maybe
Vancouver.
Maybe Vancouver. I mean, yeah, to some degree. I mean, but again, those are still two isolated, smaller franchises, smaller markets, if you will. And I'm not an NHL rep by any means, and I'm not professing myself to be. I'm talking about from a fan's perspective. If they want to bring in fans, you've got to go to the big markets and have the big markets involved in this game, and that's it.
Is Vegas a big market?
Well, Vegas, because of there's, I would consider Vegas to be a bigger market now because of what they did in the last couple of years.
They are.
I mean, why not? How about this then? Why not do it in Seattle?
Totally.
I mean, do it in Seattle. The first year there, they have a new team that's going to be playing there. You get all the buzz and excitement you can for the city that's getting a new team, which they already have a lot of buzz. But you put the spotlight on Seattle. You get one of the original 6 franchises, Seattle and Boston.
Nice.
Coast to coast.
There you go.
There you go.
I like that.
And that's it.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Who wants to watch the Minnesota Wild play anybody on anything other than if you're a Minnesota Wild fan?
That's
no
right.
offense, Minnesota, but it's true.
Let's talk about the Winter Classic game. So
yes.
I agree with you that 5 minutes in, Corey Perry nails, what's his name? Who's that guy? I don't even know these players on the Predators.
I turned the game off shortly after that, but I couldn't tell you. But, Perry's reputation. I wouldn't call him a dirty player. Some would, I'm sure. He plays on the edge. Is that a better way of putting it, maybe?
Yes, he does. And I would say he's reasonably dirty.
Okay.
He's dirty light. How's that?
Okay. Yeah, okay. I'll take that. But I truly think in this play and watching it, I truly don't believe he meant to put the elbow to the head. I think what he got, and I think Milbury actually even for the first time that I've remembered, got something right, where he said that I think that Perry got to the play just a bit late and missed his check, and and it did not target the head, but he ended up hitting the head, and that was it.
Okay.
So because look at Corey Perry's reaction afterwards. Threw his stick and his gloves down. He knew he was pissed. He knew what happened. He didn't intend to do that, and he knew he was pissed at himself. That was my take on it, and that was before even Milbury even commented on it. I thought the same thing. So,
first of all, Ellis is listed, I think, as 5'9", but I've stood next to him, and he's got to be no more than 5'7". He's not a big guy. And Corey Perry is 6'4".
He's 6'4"? Okay, I thought he was 6'2". Okay. So his elbow for a normal player, if you say 5'11", which I guess was the average height of a player in the NHL, was not meant to hit him in the head. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Who knows what's going on with the minds of some of these guys? It was his reaction afterwards told me that I don't believe he meant to do that.
No, I'm sure he didn't. But the problem is there's a size mismatch there. And when that little shot normally would hit a guy, the average guy, and not that Ellis is small or short or whatever. He's a tremendous defenseman, but Ellis is not tall, and so he took that elbow at the height of Corey Perry, and that was a problem. But here's the thing again. It's like Ellis is out of the game, and so they had to give him the game major and the 5-minute penalty. That was because again, it's based on the effect of the crime, not the actual crime itself. If Ellis got up, shook it off, and skated over to the bench, they would have given him a 2-minute roughing liner.
Well, I think the refs got together and said, "Listen, if we don't call this and do this on the national televised game, they're going to have our heads."
That's right.
No question. I don't think it necessarily even had to do with the extent of the injury and the actual thing. They're trying to show the public that the NHL is the nicer, kinder, gentler NHL, and this is the last thing they would need to have let that go. They just probably said, we got to call it, we got to make sure it's over the top, and that's it. And I'm not saying it's wrong. I mean, it was a bad hit to the head, and he's out of the game, and we're trying to put those hits out of the game. But it's a rough, fast sport, and things like that happen. And I think if they go back and look at the intent, I'm sure he'll probably get a game or two suspension, is my guess.
Maybe
just because it was on the national spotlight, but it's a situation where I don't think the intent was there, and we know we've seen plenty of games where the intent is clearly there.
Right, and Corey Perry is, he's gonna let you know he's out there, but I don't know that he was trying to knock the guy out of the game. But,
no, I don't think he was either. But it is what happens.
That changed the game because then. Not only that, then Como, I think, got a delay of game, so it was 5-on-3.
Got a 5-on-3. Yep.
They scored two goals. So they're 5, 6, 7 minutes into the game, and then Dallas is down by 2.
Yeah.
So interestingly, for the rest of that period, and I think even into about 5 or 6 minutes of the second period, the Predators did not have a 5-on-5 shot on goal. So the Dallas was controlling the game, but they were playing from a down position, and ultimately they pressured, and it was like a shooting gallery on Panarin after a while, and then it just became they just started running away with it because finally the puck started going in. But I'll tell you that the Predators team to me looks like they're missing so many pieces. That's the team that's not making the playoffs this year.
Well, I think you mean Nashville?
Yeah. The Predators are not making the playoffs in my book.
You know what? That's probably a reasonable assessment. I don't know. Even if they happen to squeak in, I don't think they're going to do much. I think their window closed 2 years ago.
Yeah, they are missing huge pieces. Their offense is surprisingly discombobulated. They don't look like they did 3-4 years ago. They have the same guys are there. By the way, Johansson's there and. Kyle Turris, and they've got
Yossi.
And Forsberg. I mean, these were deadly guys, and they're all just they don't look like they're gelled together. Something's different. I don't know what it is. Maybe they got a little older. Maybe they're who knows? It's the same coach, right? Peter Laviolette. He's been there the whole time. He took them to the Stanley Cup final, and
but that was their chance.
That was their chance, and Panarin is his numbers are. Awful. I think his goals against average is 3.4. I mean, he's